All right. So we are here today and we're going to be going over the rent versus buy and the true cost in our area. Uh, I'm going to wait just a moment for a couple people to hop on so I'm not talking to myself. We got two people on here. So we'll go ahead and bring on Chet and Justin. Hey, Team Chet.
Hey guys, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So I know we're going to be talking today about renting versus buying, specifically in our area and the true cost. How are things going for you guys in general?
It's going pretty good. Yep. We're busy as we've ever been, so it's been a very brisk market lately. We can't really complain. It's a lot of velocity out there, if you will.
Velocity, yes, for sure. Things are going very fast.
Yep.
So I know from our perspective, we can talk, I guess, just a little market overview at the beginning while people get on here. From our perspective, we've got a lot of pre-qualified buyers right now who are looking for houses. A lot of them are in situations where they have submitted offers on homes and they just haven't gotten accepted because the market's very competitive. A lot of houses are selling for over list price. And the crazy thing is when we were thinking about how COVID was going to impact the market, everybody was kind of scared. And in the short term, it seems like things have sped up. We see more people. We had an open house recently where probably half the people that attended the open house, and there were about a dozen different families that came, were coming from the Triangle, from Durham and Cary and and Apex, and I think that we're starting to see a little bit of a migration of people from these bigger areas into Sanford for a number of reasons. One, because Sanford's got it going on, and two, because they're working remote. Maybe they weren't before, and now they can come down here. The housing is more affordable, and they get more for their money. So, what do you guys see? How's the market from your perspective?
Well, Justin and I have been really, really busy. I mean, Justin talked about just the number of leads you get every day and versus maybe when you first got here.
Yeah, so when I first started, it was hit or miss daily. But now my phone just goes crazy because the people that are trying to buy have just sped up, like you said, Walter, and they just don't have enough houses on the inventory to go get. So it's just a matter of, we get them pre-qualified as fast as we can, but then they're sitting and waiting. The market's great as far as rates.
Yeah.
And that's probably another reason that it's been such an influx is because everybody's seeing the rates be so good. They're trying to take advantage of it. But on the flip side, everybody's trying to buy, so there's not a lot of inventory to choose from.
Yeah, Walter, I've been doing this now for almost 11 years in August, and this is probably the strongest real market I've ever seen. Previous to 2009, when I was not in the business, there had been, or I should say probably before pre-2007, it was just wild, wild west in housing. And of course, it did create a huge bubble. But
Yep.
What I'm being told by the folks I work with that have been in it longer than me, it's similar to that, except it's a safer environment to buy. There's more rules and regulations, but it has been Katie bar the door for the last 4 or 5 months. And we've probably never been busier in all of our offices, not just in our local office, but in our offices across the country. Our average loan officer is doing about 1.3 million. That's on average, where a year ago the average loan officer in the country was doing about 600,000. So even the average loan officer across the country is almost double its normal production. A lot of that's, of course, refis, but at CMG, it's been over 62% purchase business that's driving the train. And here locally, we're over 75% purchase business.
Wow.
So we're not focusing just on refinances, although we're doing them, and we want to help families with that because consolidating debt is a great thing to do right now. And lowering your rate and term is great, cashing out to pay off debts, but that also frees clients up to be debt-free, but also to potentially buy another home or a second home. Because right now, I will tell you, I think real estate is one of the very best investments you can make. And we'll talk about that a little later with some of our analysis cards we're going to show.
Definitely. And, one of the things that stuck out to me about what you just said was it's one of the best real markets you've ever seen. And I think that you can easily pass right over that. But I think you're kind of referring to the fact that I don't think we're creating a bubble right now with all this activity that's going to pop like it did in 2008. That we're experiencing the type of market we're experiencing right now because of growth and really good signs and trends in the economy that, we shouldn't fall off a cliff like we did, 12 years ago.
Totally agree with you, Walter. This is a real market. There are a lot of pundits out there that are negative naysayers. They try to get headlines and said this is a bubble. This is not a bubble. And you can tell by the type of pre-quals and by the way people are coming through and what their loan profiles look like. And then you're right, just the demographics of the market, where people's savings are, just how it's not an oversold hype market. So it's kind of interesting that I agree totally with you. This is a real market. And it's been a while. This is the lowest amount of foreclosures we've ever had in my career. So, we're in a real strong market right now.
Yeah, definitely. Sharon said she's going to look at some houses today. Congrats, Sharon. If you haven't already gotten your pre-qualification, you definitely want to get one. The link is in the comments. It's so competitive right now with offers. And I told someone before as well that now that we've got so many agents coming from different areas and bringing buyers that you really got to come correct and come strong with your offers. I mean, sometimes it might feel like you're bringing a gun to a sword fight, but even if that house has been on the market for a couple of days, it just isn't like it was 10 years ago. You might need to come in over asking, especially if you're asking for closing costs and things like that. So I know we had a document to share with everybody that can kind of put some numbers and statistics behind what we're talking about right now. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen real quick because we got a general idea that the market is doing really well and we think it's going to continue. Now let's show everybody, what that kind of looks like. That's the wrong one. Here we go. So we got the real estate report card. If you want to run through this with us real quick, Chet, and then we'll see if we have any questions.
I'd be my pleasure, Walter. And this is where this real estate report card is done per county, and it's compiled from data from the National Association of Realtors and the Mortgage Bankers Association. So every week we're compiling data, and I can pull this for any county that in the country for that matter. But this is where we talk about a real market and what makes really good financial sense. Justin and I are always talking about our customers' long and short-term financial objectives. And when you look at this real estate report card, the median home price here in Lee County, North Carolina, is $183,118. Just last year, the same number was $176,000. So we're seeing great home appreciation, and isn't that what it's all about? And it's been on fire for the last 4 or 5 years, which is why any customer that's bought within the last 3 or 4 years can afford to refi, because just where people were 4 years ago, there's been so much home value appreciation that nearly everybody's a candidate to look at a refi. But it also means if you look down this chart across the top of the page, just our historical and our projected forecast. In 5 years, $183,000 house, which is the median price, which means 50% or more and 50% or less. That $183,000 house in 5 years would be worth $220,000. And we're going to talk about it a little more later in another slide. But when you look at renting versus buying, there's just no argument can be made that renting makes more sense financially. And if you look at Lee County, and I will say one of the reasons, and you're going to see on this sheet, one of the reasons that this is a real market and not a bubble market is the supply and demand. We have far greater demand than we do supply. And so we really are in a much more better situation from the standpoint of will values hold? Yeah, even in this pandemic, I think they will. When you look at Lee County, there's about 60,000 people. Then census is being counted this year. I know that number is going to go way up, but our last census was 60,000. There's 21,000 people that rent in Lee County. And of that, 5,368 could afford to buy. And so the question is, why aren't they? And Justin's talked about and can talk about that. He does a great job of credit repair and getting people whose credit's not where it needs to be today there. But when you look at household formations based on population, and then you look at first-time home purchases to be taken from inventory, And then you go down to your right side there and look at actual homes being built. The problem that we have is what you alluded to earlier, what Justin mentioned, is there's not enough inventory. So it does make sense for customers to get pre-qualified early, get all the obstacles and issues out of the way working with us, so that when you take them to find that perfect home, they're on it and they're making that offer today and not next week, because it won't be there next week. If you go down just a little further, one of the things I wanted to point out that is a silver lining in this terrible pandemic is the unemployment rate. You know, if you look at 2017 through 2019, we were from 5 to 4.5%. That was pretty amazing unemployment based on where we were just in 2008. But unfortunately, you look at the top of 2020, we're at a published rate of 10% unemployment. And people would think, oh my gosh, in fact, this pandemic unemployment might be actually 20%, Walter, because there's like a lot of people receiving pandemic unemployment benefits right now. So that number's probably underinflated. But even with 10% unemployment, we're seeing a market that we've not seen in many, many years. And that's because the affordability index to the right, we are well under the affordability line. And so you can, you know, in North Carolina, especially here in our area, houses are very, very affordable. And you have historically low rates. Just today, the 10-year U.S. Treasury, and that's where we peg our mortgage derivatives. Mortgages are derived from bonds, not stocks and equities, and it follows the U.S. Treasury. We're at a historically low 0.66% on the U.S. 10-year Treasury.
Wow.
Just a year ago, you know, we were almost 2%. So we're at almost unrealistic level. Anything below 1, I would have told you had to be kidding if you see a 10-year U.S. Treasury below 1%. Well, it's been below 1% for quite a few months now, and we predict it's going to stay there. So what does that mean for the market? We're going to have this kind of rate environment for quite a while. And I would say until we have an inoculated, vaccinated world, it could not be a better time to buy or refi a house. So if your job is not infected or your income has not been affected by this terrible pandemic, this is a great time to make an investment in real estate. So that's kind of that real estate report card for Lee County. You know, a 5-year gain buying today at a median home price is pretty off the charts good.
I mean, projected 5-year gain, it showed over 20%.
Yeah.
When the historical 5-year gain for real estate was around 5.5%. I mean, that's an incredible jump in the expected appreciation. So, I've heard the term thrown out here just in passing that, Sanford's kind of pre-Holly Springs right now. That 10 years ago, Holly Springs didn't look like it does today. And that, that the growth here in Sanford right now, that leads to appreciation of these houses, that people buying houses today, I think are going to be very, very happy, 5 to 10 years down the road with all the equity they've built up. And
I agree. And the difference between a Sanford and a Holly Springs is Holly Springs grew because Raleigh grew. And people didn't afford to live or didn't like the congestion in Raleigh. So they bought in Holly Springs but worked in Raleigh. Here in Sanford, we are creating our own jobs here. So, a lot of people do commute to Raleigh from Sanford and vice versa. We have a lot of people that come from Raleigh to work in Lee County. But that's the big game changer here is we've created almost $1 billion in new investment in companies here that aren't even online yet, and 1,500 high-paying jobs. We're creating the jobs here. So, the market is right here. So I think that's a big difference between buying a house and why our market is growing. It's really due to job creation. So we're pretty excited about what the future holds.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I think that's a good segue into our rent versus buy comparison. So what we're going to do right now is going to talk a little bit about the numbers behind renting and buying here in Lee County. So what Chet's prepared for us is an analysis of the median home price, $183,000, and compared that to what the comparable rent would be for that same price point.
Yeah, Walter, and I think the numbers speak and tell the story. When we deal with clients, it's really all about the numbers and, how can we make a smart financial decision based on the numbers? And we can put these calculations in for any customer. But when you look at the median home price of $183 in Lee County, and they differ from different counties, But the argument can be made in every county right now, buying is probably cheaper than renting. But when you look at a typical scenario of buying a $183,000 house, the monthly P&I on that, if you were to do a loan today, is about $740. And you throw in property tax and insurance of $272. You got to have some maintenance repairs thrown in, because you got to always have maintenance repairs on a home you buy. Is about $76. So your monthly expense is about $1,088 to buy a $183,000 house. And that's at an interest rate of 3.5%, which actually is a little higher than where we are today. And then you look at and then you go right over to the middle column of the left side of the page to rent for the first year. So if you looked at comparable rent for a $183,000 house in Sanford, it's $1,151 for your rent, about $17 for your rental insurance, nothing for maintenance and repairs because someone else is doing that, but you're still at $1,168. And that's in Sanford, that's going to get you a 2-bedroom apartment. And you look at the annual rent increase of 3%. You look at year 9, and we did a 9-year projection, Walter, because that's the average stay or tenure of a homeowner. Most people will either sell or pay their home off or sell or move in 9 years. In 9 years of renting, that number for the same place, your rental would be up to $1,480 in rent. But your monthly cost in a mortgage and owning a home never changes. So when you look at it across this page, the cash flow difference of owning versus renting a $183,000 house is almost a $24,000 difference in cash flow. So that's freeing up a lot of money, $23,991. And then you really want to focus on that appreciation gain. And then we're talking numbers here and how to make the best financial investment for yourself. And that would be appreciation gain at $183,000 purchase today. If you stayed in that house for 9 years, you're talking about $71,382 gain in appreciation. Just gain home value appreciation. That is what it's all about. And so your amortization gain is $32,870. When you then break it all down, and you continue to look at every year going 1 through 10 or 1 through 9, the net gain by buying a house in Sanford, Lee County, North Carolina today versus renting is $109,311. So, it's just a great cause for investment or a case for investment. You know this, Walter, because you're into real estate. The greatest way to create wealth is to own real estate. And it's scientifically documented that those homeowners have about 5 times the net worth of renters. And so you talk about building wealth for your family. There's never been a better time to do that than in this low rate environment and this supply and demand issue we have. And what a great situation if you're thinking about listing your house. I am sure you would have 3 offers on that house in a week if it was in good condition. But I'll close on my comments on the buying versus renting. But Justin can talk about what can you do if you're a renter and you don't have a large down payment. We got 5,000 people that are eligible that could afford to buy. Justin, what would you recommend to the typical client coming from a rental situation that doesn't have a lot of money? What would we look for to put them into a program?
So the first thing we would look for is we try to fit them into our 0 down eligibility, because most of Lee County is eligible for our USDA program.
Yeah.
What that means is you got to meet certain requirements as far as debt to income, credit scores, and actually income requirements. Because if you make too much, they won't allow you in the program.
But you can make $90,300. A family of 4 or less can earn $90,300 and be eligible for USDA, right?
Correct. That's 0 down. So that kind of puts the ball in their court as far as you don't got to put any money down. You're coming from renting. Maybe you don't have a lot of savings, to put 3% down or 5% down. So that would be the first one. And then we also have other programs where you could crowd fund your down payment from family, and just as far as going from renting to buying. So you can always crowd fund it, and we help with that process.
We call that home funded. So a person that has good income and good assets but just doesn't have the down payment and good credit, you can actually crowd fund your down payment from family and friends and coworkers. But you've also got the VA loan,
right,
which is big in our area, 100%. And then FHA and conventional, we can do as little as 3% down on a conventional loan. So It's sort of a misnomer by a lot of people. You don't have to have 20% or 15 or 10% down to buy a home. So when you look at this buying versus renting analysis, Walter, I think it just plays right into the case for investment and why people should build wealth through real estate, especially today.
For sure. I've heard the statement a lot of time that more wealthy people or more millionaires are made from real estate in our country than anything else. It typically starts with a home ownership. If you told somebody that they could save $100 a month by buying the same size house or quality of house that they're renting, that in itself is appealing. But when you tell them that they can make $109,000 over the next 9 years, of difference in their financial situation by making the decision to buy and not, rent, that's a really big impact on somebody's financial future. And those type of decisions can start to snowball into real wealth building. The first step, for anybody that wants to purchase a home is to get pre-qualified. And it doesn't matter if you're 6 months out or 12 months out. You should still get in touch with a lender to get your credit in front of in front of them so that they can take a look at exactly where you stand. Can you talk a little bit about why it's so important to reach out early on and not wait right until they're ready to go see houses?
You want that one?
Yeah. So this is something that hits home with me as far as, this is what I try to do every day, because I think it's an important thing that we never tell somebody no. It's always a yes, or, how can we help to get you to where you need to be? Because what I don't want to see a buyer come to me and they're ready, excited, sending all these properties to Walter. They're talking to Walter as far as what houses they want. And we got to say, hey, it's another 3 months because they waited to pre-qualify because they wanted to take it into their own hands and fix their credit on their time. So we have the resources where, if you do it now, say, you're 6 months to 12 months out. Yeah, it's a while, but like Walter said, that's going to come up and slap you in the back of your head.
Yeah.
And to get us to look at it and make sure we can identify those problems that you're going to have that we need to fix, so it doesn't go to an underwriter and they, nitpicks your credit report. We want to make sure we get that out of the way, up front, and get you to a credit analyst. That it's literally their job as the credit analyst to make sure that they guide you along the way to make sure that you get a good credit score. We identify problems that could come up in your underwriting, and we get all that cleared. So when, in 6 months when you're ready, you're good to go. You don't got to worry about us. You just worry about finding a house and getting your documents together.
Yeah, waiting to get pre-qualified a week or two before you really want to go search for a home and then find out that there's an issue that we have to fix. Sometimes those issues take time. So to apply early, to give us a chance to analyze and coach, like Justin said, it's never a no, it's just when. And that when could be long or short depending on how soon you get pre-qualified. And there's never been a client that came to us that didn't end up buying that was motivated to do so. And typically we can put you on a plan. Some people can be there in 30 days. Some people take 6 months. Some people in drastic cases take a year. But if you want to buy a house, we can help you find the way to do that. And so oftentimes there's just a few things that have to be tweaked or done prior to making an offer that if you wait until the day before Walter's going to go show you a house, you're not going to get pre-qualified and you're going to lose in this market. You're going to lose out because somebody else who is pre-qualified is going to make the offer. And so that's why it's really important, I think, to go ahead and get pre-qualified. And when we pull credit, there's a big myth, Walter, and we hear it every week. Oh, is this going to hurt my credit to pull it? Well, one, we have to pull your credit to give a pre-qual. But two, mortgage lenders are soft hits or soft pulls. So unlike your retail dealers, your car dealers, and furniture dealers, you won't lose points from getting your credit pulled by a mortgage lender unless you've had a lot of inquiries within the last week or two. So it doesn't hurt your score to get your credit pulled one time by us so that we can get you on the path and or pre-qualify you.
Great. Yeah, because, I would need both hands to start to count the people that I've talked to just this week. And my process is I always first try to find out when it is that you're planning to move and when do you want to buy. And that's so that we can cater our conversation. If you're not planning to move for 18 months out, we don't need to talk as often. But that's the first question I get answered. And I'd need both hands to count the amount of people just this week that have told me that they would like to move as soon as possible. And then when I get them connected with Justin, it turns out that their credit is not in a position where they can buy as soon as possible, that they've got to wait 3 months or 4 months or 5 months because they didn't apply earlier on. And most of the time, these people didn't just wake up today and say, hey, I want to move as soon as possible. They've been thinking about it for 6 months or 9 months or a year. They thought, maybe I should wait. It's too early. I don't need to talk to a lender yet. And now it's caused them to have to put their plans on hold. And we're still working with them. We get them in touch with credit repair specialists, and we make sure that we hold their hand through that whole process. But for a lot of them, it's a little bit of a punch in the gut. Like I want to go see this house, and now I can't.
Break home, but you don't have to.
Yeah. So
there's also lots of different ways to structure a mortgage, Walter, and some of those ways take more time than others. Like retired clients that come and want to buy a home or a second home, they have to create sometimes an income stream in retirement, and that you can't do that in a week. You have to do that over a month or so. So even sometimes the most qualified people aren't ready to roll because we've got to structure something different for them that you can't structure and implement within a week or so. So it's just earlier is best. Get pre-qualified, be ready, and then when you find the perfect opportunity, you're instantly able to pull the trigger.
Yep, definitely. So I know this video will be available for replay for everybody. If anybody wants a copy of the Rent versus Buy flyer, I'm going to put it on the screen one more time so everybody can see it, or the market report card, we can get those to you pretty easily. We just need you to either text us or email us. I've got it there on the screen now so that you can see the text and email. And if you want a copy of that, we can get it to you.
Yeah.
If anybody is,
it's also available in any county. So any county the client wants to look at it, we can provide it.
Yep, definitely. And if anybody is curious and wants to see what they pre-qualify for now, I put the link to your guys' app so that they can apply for a pre-qual right on their phone. They don't even have to get on the phone. They don't even have to call you if they don't want to. But I put that in the comments section below so that everybody can see it. We got at least some people listening, guys. Trevor, thanks. Great advice. So anybody have any questions at all? I'll put our phone number up here one more time. Anything you guys would like to add?
Well, I'd like to just say one thing, Walter, and just for people that are listening or thinking or watching this later, when we work together with a client, when the client comes to us, and sometimes they're already pre-qualified and sometimes they're not, most of our clients either are pre-qualified or somewhere else. But when we work together, the client, the lender, and the realtor, such as you, there's a better way of doing it locally that working together, we can sometimes save tens of thousands of dollars on the purchase offer that you're going to make, and also thousands of dollars over the life alone. You've got your tagline, who you buy your house from matters. It does matter because the local expertise and the area knowledge and being able to talk with you about how we need to structure a client's closing costs or what their financial short and long-term objectives are because they've come to us and we've had that conversation. You won't get that online. You won't get that from the internet banks and the out-of-town lenders or an out-of-town realtor. We're going to be able to work together to position a client to save thousands on their offer and potentially thousands over life alone. So there's so many reasons to get pre-qualified early and try to do it local because it does matter and it does make a difference. And so I think this has been a great opportunity for us to tell that story. But stay local if you can, and let us help you as a team, the realtor, the lender, and the client working together with local attorneys and local appraisers.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, one more kind of plug for working local and working with your realtor's preferred lender is that I get a question all the time, like, can I use a big bank? Can I use somebody else? Can I use a big credit union or something like that I'm affiliated with? It's not local. And I tell people, I do use the analogy of a general contractor who builds a ton of homes. Can you use my uncle? He's a plumber, right? And yes, I probably could, But this guy over here has built 100 houses with me. We speak the same language. We work on the same pace, and we're used to working together. And it just goes a whole lot smoother when, you know, you do have a tandem like we have, of people that, you know, work together and speak the same language, and are all working to accomplish the same goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Well, I don't think we got any more comments. If anybody has any questions at all, they can comment here. We'll check back throughout the day. We got the phone number and stuff on here. So I'm Walter Susevich, Sanford Surrounded, who helps you with your home matters.